Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing the final review of the February Vinegar Syndrome package. I'm really excited for this. I still haven't gotten the March package yet, so I finished on time. I'm really happy. So of course I'll be doing a ranking of the package after filming this and then releasing it. But the final movie I watched by process of elimination is the 1991. Okay, so not 80s like I thought. 1991 film starring Phoebe Cates and Rick Mayall, I think his name. Yes. It is, of course, I put a slipcover back on. Drop Dead Fred. This movie is really fucking good. Very wholesome, warm, lovely, amazing. I really enjoyed this one. Basically, it's about a character named Elizabeth, or more commonly known as Lizzie, throughout the movie, played by Phoebe Cates. She is down on her luck. Every aspect of her life is total shit. We start off the movie when she's with her husband and she's trying to prep herself to kind of really put her foot down in terms of divorcing him because he's awful. He is such a gaslighter and is constantly manipulating her throughout the movie. But she shows up and it's like, okay, I want to divorce you once and for all. He tricks her and is like, okay, like let's talk about it when you get home. And she's like, no, I want to talk about it now. And he, of course, convinces her, and so she leaves. She gets in her car, parks at a nearby telephone booth, calls Carrie Fisher, who plays, what's her name? Janie. They only say the name like twice, so I had to write it down. But she calls her best friend, Carrie Fisher, playing Janie, and she's like, oh my gosh, my husband's awful. He didn't let me divorce him. And Carrie Fisher is like, awesome throughout this movie, constantly telling her that she doesn't need a man, that she's perfect the way she is. And while she's on the phone with Janie, her husband just walks up and breaks her window and takes her purse. And then just some random guy just walks by and hotwires the car and steals the car. And we never see the car again. And it is so funny, as right after that she's like, oh my gosh, like I lost my husband in my car during my lunch hour. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my job, like my lunch hour's over. And she gets to her job and he's like, she's a transcriber for a court, so she's the one writing down everything that the witnesses and the defendants and everybody says. And she sits down and she's getting ready, and the attorney or lawyer, I guess attorney, yes, is like, I would like to talk to the transcriber real quick. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry too. You're fired. And she's just like, what? And so she leaves the lobby, or she leaves the courtroom, and she's walking through the lobby. And somebody puts the purse down, or like a bag, and she falls on her face, and a guy named Mickey happens to be there, who has connections to Phoebe Cates' character through being childhood friends. And he catches her and is like, oh my gosh, it's you, Phoebe Cates. Oh my gosh, we knew each other. And they kind of reconnect, and he starts reminding her of her childhood imaginary friend, Drop Dead Fred, which the movie's named off of. And she starts remembering about Drop Dead Fred. And she goes back home and she finds the little musical box, or the jack-in-the-box where you crank it and the person jumps out. Well, that's how she summons Drop Dead Fred. The last time she saw him, as we learn later in the movie, is that her mom was sick of it. Sick of her and Drop Dead Fred just completely wrecking the house. And so she hasn't seen Drop Dead Fred in 20 years, I think it said in the movie. Because she's like 6 years old. when we get flashbacks when she was raining hell for everybody with Drop Dead Fred. And so she summons Drop Dead Fred, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're old, like you're awful." And it's played by Rick Mayall, who is a British guy who I'm not really familiar with, but he just stole the show, in my opinion. He was absolutely amazing. He really played well with every single actor and actress in this movie. He was absolutely hilarious. I am iffy on British humor for the most part. I think it's mostly the fact that there's always a laugh track going on anytime I watch anything British comedy. So it was really nice to not have the laugh track, and he was just hilarious. He was completely just show stealing, in my opinion. He was constantly just bouncing off of everybody, really using the environment to his advantage, and it was just awesome. He was really great. He was really funny. The entire movie is basically about Phoebe Cates kind of discovering herself and discovering that she can be independent, because after she comes home, this is before she summons Drop Dead Fred, but she goes home after getting fired from her job and reconnecting with her childhood friend Mickey. She goes home to her own house, and her mom is there, and she's like, "You're coming home with me. You are now my child," and just completely just controls every aspect of her life from there on out. And there's a point in the movie where her mom makes her go to a psychiatrist's office where a bunch of the troubled kids are all seeing imaginary friends. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie, because we see all of these kids with their imaginary friends, and all the imaginary friends know each other. And so we have a really great scene of them all just bouncing off of each other. They're all really, really eccentric, a lot of fun. This movie was just amazing. I thought it was just a little bit too long. It was towards the end when I was kind of feeling like it was, it should be wrapping up now. This is an hour and 45-minute movie. I think an hour, 35 minutes max is what the movie needed. But for the most part, this was just a really great movie, really well paced. Phoebe Cates is amazing. Carrie Fisher, amazing as always. She rest in peace, although it's been like 6 years now, so I'm sure she's at peace at this point. But I absolutely just loved this movie. I had heard mixed feelings on it. People either love it or they hate it, is kind of what my impression was. So I'm happy that I love this, because that means the entire package for February was really fucking good. Because, I'll talk about that during my closing video for the month. But there are a couple special features on this, which I was kind of shocked about, because this is a huge studio movie from Universal Studios. You get the awesome Universal opening with the planet spinning. Same year as Jurassic Park, so if you've seen that Universal logo, you get the same thing here. Also funded by New Line Cinema, which I was really surprised about. Because I know New Line Cinema from Lord of the Rings and a couple of the early cult films when they first started out. I guess this is considered one of the first cult films, but this movie was just really awesome. There's a lot of whatever it's called, special features on this. There's a whole commentary track. There are mini interviews. There's even a new interview with Phoebe Cates talking about the movie. And I probably should have watched that before doing this. I didn't watch any of the special features because I just loved this. I just want to talk about it. So, yeah, that's my review of it. I really, really enjoyed this. what a great month this has been for Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, it goes without saying, I always say at the end of these videos, would I have bought this if I was not a subscriber? Yeah, I mean, it has Phoebe Cates. I mean, I was really excited when I was looking through the Vinegar Syndrome website, because that's all I look at. I don't look at trailers. I don't do too much reading outside of the Vinegar Syndrome description, which, if you don't know, the description that they always have on the site is this kind of 2-paragraph top, and they just have it on the website, and they have the list of special features, and that's really it. So I remember I read it and I saw Phoebe Cates' name and I was like, yep, I'm gonna like this. Like, I love Phoebe Cates. So that's the movie. I loved it. That's really all that needs to be said. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to now do the ranking video. So I will see you guys shortly.